HeartTalk, the global influencer podcast series for women. This is Senela, the founder and CEO of Women Empowered Global. HeartTalk is our platform designed to bring you wisdom, inspiration, and life-changing stories of some of the most influential leaders around the world who are driving change, transforming business, and making an impact at a global level. And today on the show, we have the one and only Nicole Brandes. She is an advisor to executives, keynote speaker on new leadership, self-directed change, and breakthrough performance. Based in Switzerland, she's a global influencer, touching the lives of many executives, teaching them how to become a high achiever. Welcome, Nicole. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Senela. I'm honored and very, very delighted to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole, one of my favorite things to start this podcast with is by inviting our guest speaker to share with us a sprint on their story, the genesis of your success. So, Nicole, how did it all begin and how did you get to where you are today, the powerful, influential, amazing woman you are?
Well, first of all, I come from a very, very modest, actually really poor family, dysfunctional family. I was struggling with that. And yet already as a child, I knew my life is going to be big, not in the sense of success and fame, etc., but full, enriching, inspiring and adventurous. I always believed in that. Yet I had to overcome many struggles. I was even facing once the decision face death or life. And after complicated stories, I really decided, okay, if I'm going to live life at my terms. And so I started to learn about connecting with myself, tapping into my inner powers, which everybody can. And then I had really the opportunity to work with some of the most influential leaders on this planet, even with royals. And and today I want to encourage women not to wait for opportunity, but to be opportunity, and not to be afraid of their own greatness, but really have the courage to connect with themselves and not act out of a position of being a victim, whom we have all been, but to act out of an empowering, inspiring person you are and you can be.
Amazing, Nicole. Can you tell us more about the work that you do? Because what really attracted me and drew me to you is that you really hit the nail on the head, because a lot of women, whether we are in leadership or in various stages of our life, we come to a stage where we feel like there's a wall, like a glass ceiling, if I may, whether it's internal or external. So before we get more into that, can you please tell me more about what you do?
Yeah, I come from the corporate world. I was in very privileged positions where powerful men saw something in me. So I was always working at the top level of big companies. And what I realized there, that despite those incredible, powerful and incredible successful people, they were lacking one thing. And it was, some sort of lack of emotional connection. And before we say, oh yeah, it's all these soft factors. Yes, it is soft factors. It's the emotions where life happens, where we are happy. So despite that success, happiness is not getting things. Happiness is becoming who you are. And so I realized that at an early stage. And that's why I really always was on mission in big companies, you know, helping people or supporting people to connect to their own emotions, because once they know that, they can lead much better. And today I'm working with top executives and leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and empower or actually encourage them to not only manage processes, but to manage their own feelings so that they can inspire and touch and reach out to other people and move them. And move them means moving comes from the word motion, and emotion comes from the same word, moving people. And that's where things happen. And that's what I would like to have. And in the age of technology, this has become more and more important.
It's really interesting how you framed emotions coming out in leadership. And that is an area, a very vital nugget that I think leaders need to advocate for more. Because I think the common thing is when they see a leader, they think, oh, a leader has it all, is always calm, does not get stressed. What have been some of your key findings in the work that you do, working in leadership with other leaders around the world, when it comes to managing emotion? What have been some of your key findings?
Well, some of the key findings, Senela, are definitely that, we think of all those leaders being extremely self-confident, which they are. And we have to understand that we gain self-confidence also through our expertise. We are all experts in our field, in our work field. But self-confidence should not be mistaken as self-awareness and self-competence and self-knowledge. And one of my key findings were that people are undernourished of emotions. They are afraid because, we have sadness versus happiness. We have hurt versus joy, for instance. And of course, those are painful experiences. And human being is wired like that we want to avoid pain. But it's exactly also where we are getting connected with ourselves and where we can grow. And in fact, big goals are not there to achieve only. Big goals are there that we can grow. We are living creatures, and living organisms need to grow. And without growth, we can only die. And growth is where we are feeling hurdles, where we overcome them, where we have the courage to go through that. And that's how I really work on the soft factor side.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So, Nicole, when you say you work on the soft side, so now as a woman myself in leadership, there have been many a times where with the lack of mentoring throughout my leadership journey and success, due to the lack of mentoring, I always found emotions being that wall that I kept hitting in my journey to leadership. Do you think that there is an extra challenge that female leaders face in that front compared to their male counterparts? What is your view on that?
Yeah. Well, first, let me say what really where women are great, because I truly believe that soft factors are the hard currency of the future. And that's where we are really good. We are always, we have a lot of compassion for the client, for the team, for the boss, but we don't have compassion for ourselves. And that's where we are beating ourselves up. And that's where we are really struggling. We have, especially women, we always think we are not enough, we are not worthy. Our self-image and our self-talk and our self-critique is so hard. We are so hard on ourselves. And that's where we hit the wall. It's not only the glass ceiling, Senela. That is in the outside world. We have to tap into the inside world first, so that it's not only the driving forces from outside which determine who we are, what we create, how we should feel, etc. It's the internal glass ceiling where we have to break through, because it's the self-image which we cannot beat. You cannot outperform the self-image. And once we start being more compassionate, more loving, more appreciating of ourselves, and once we connect to ourselves much better, and let go of harsh critique and beating ourselves up, then we can be more powerful and break through first through that inner glass ceiling before we break through the outer glass ceiling.
I think what you just said is very profound, and that is something I wish I had the replay button and have it keep replaying in our mind. That's absolutely powerful, because a lot of the times we focus on the external glass ceiling. But what's interesting is I love how yours and my vision is so aligned, Nicole, because a lot of the work we do globally around the world with women is focusing on shattering the glass ceiling inside so that they can themselves become a solution and be the change in their life. Nicole, I know that you work a lot with executives to empower them with focus, powerful insights, and also accountability so that they achieve the results and impact that they want and also deserve. Can you tell us more about how you do that?
Yeah, well, I truly believe, Senela, that true leadership starts at one point. We all have these completely different images of leadership, and no matter what kind of lead or picture you have of leadership, which actually influences very strongly how you lead. So no matter this picture, I truly believe that true leadership and strong leadership, not hard leadership, strong leadership starts at one point, and that is yourself. So that's why I always start working with top executives or with leaders, always with themselves. And my question usually is, okay, what is your vision? And what is your true vision? And what is your goal? And we have A goals. A goals are, we know we're going to get it. B goals are, we think we're going to get it. But that's not where the inspiration happens. It's the C goal. It's what we really, really want. And I find there that most of the people struggle because it's so hard to find out really what you want, what you really aspire, what you really are striving for. And that should be big, because if you want to really go for something big, you got to be inspired, and you're only inspired if you're going somewhere which you have not been before. So it's not the A goal, which it's not the B goal, which you think you can achieve. It's you're going somewhere you have never been, and that is scary. But that's where the inspiration happens, and that's where you grow. And we just heard before, growth is a must for people. And I'm sure people who have achieved everything, but they're not inspired. They think, okay, what's next? What's next? They have plenty outside, but they feel empty inside. And that's the key. So that's where I start. What do you really want? And then I help them really get clarity on their vision. And for that, you need to go into fantasy. And once you find that dream, then we can shift from fantasy into theory and, define that vision. And then from theory, it will manifest, because from there you can determine A and B goals, how to manifest that theory into reality. And when I do that, when I work there with people, you can see that they are inspired, that they are moved, because you got to get emotionally involved. And will an A or a B goal get you emotionally involved? Absolutely not. But the C goal, the fantasy, your dream, your purpose, that's where your purpose is, what you really want. That's where the magic happens.
Again, that's absolutely powerful what you resonated there, because what I've noticed is, even in my own coaching clients, a lot of women, they want to do well, but they don't even have a conscious plan or a goal on what they want, what the vision is. What would be your advice to our listeners today who are feeling a little scared or fear or limiting their view on even having a vision, their idea of how to even have a vision or why a vision is important as a first step? What would be your advice for our listeners on that?
Well, first of all, not being scared, because I truly believe that where, fear points you the way. Let fear be your guide and not your hurdle, because usually we are scared of the unknown, but that's exactly where the magic happens, as I said before. So go through that fear. You can only overcome fear by facing it and going through it, and so you should not be crippled or limited by that fear. Everything big which has been achieved was achieved by going through that fear. If you look at the big inspiring leaders, and they didn't have necessarily the position, they didn't have power positions, they didn't have money, etc., but they had a powerful dream. And if I may cite, Martin Luther King didn't have a dream. The dream had him, and that let him overcome all the fear. So let fear be your guide and not be your hurdle. So that's my first advice. And then second, really follow that dream, because the dream knows your way. And even in darkest hours, it's what gives you the feeling of strength, what gives you the feeling of being alive, vibrant, having the energy to go for that. Without that, people are lost. If we don't have goals which inspire us, if we don't have big goals, we are lost. We just have the daily business, like functioning from 9 to 5. And that's not what brings out the best in us. And we are so much more than what we live in the daily life.
That's absolutely inspiring. Thank you so much for that, Nicole. And also, I just want to highlight to our listeners that Nicole is not only an expert in what she does, and not only is she a global influencer, she also speaks at some of the largest platforms around the world. And she's also an author, Nicole. Tell us a little bit about your book, so that people get to hear the wonderful versatility that you bring to the world.
Yeah, thank you, Senela. My first book is about diversity, cultural diversity. That's how I started. And I truly believe in the beauty of diversity, because we can learn so much from each other from different points of views, but that needs leadership. That this diversity gets empowered, and that we can draw the beautiful wisdom from each other. That's my first book. My second book is actually an animal book, because I truly believe that there is this big title, "Animal Makes Us Human," and I truly believe that I defined myself now as a social entrepreneur, not only improving the quality of people's lives, but also improving the quality of animals' lives, because we need nature and we need other creatures. They're so delightful, and we get a mirror from animals. That's why I wrote that. My third book is about leadership and the skills of the future, where I point out that in the age of tech, we need more human skills. And as the great futurologist John Nesbitt said, the more high tech, the more high touch we need. And I fully support that. I wrote about that. And my next book is coming out on Women World's Day, 8th of March, where it is Woman Wild and Wise, tapping into your own own greatness and living life at your terms, because I truly believe, ladies, we all need your skills, capabilities, and your beautiful greatness.
Amazing. That is so exciting. So we're all going to watch out for the 8th of March, 2019, celebrating International Women's Day. We're going to have Nicole's book out. We're so excited, Nicole. And Nicole, more power to you. Any last advice, any closing remarks to our listeners? I'm sure they're so inspired, Nicole. Any last thoughts before we conclude?
Thank you, Senela. Well, ladies, please never let outside circumstances and other people stop you from pursuing your dream.
Thank you, Nicole. And there you have it with us, the one and only Nicole Brandes. And Nicole, we just wish you all the very best to you and the wonderful, powerful work that you do around the world. And here's to your success. And until next time, we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
To you too. Bye.
Thank you.